If you believe in something and you commit to it, that's an incredible source of personal power and strength.
Today it is my absolute pleasure to speak with the lovely and brilliant Catherine Rogers about her revolutionary initiative, Arbitrator Intelligence. Do you want to know how to launch and run a global successful initiative, especially in these times? Then join me in finding out. Let's go ask Catherine. Catherine, hi, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being with us today. What have you been working on?
I'm on leave from Penn State so that I can spend my working days working on Arbitrator Intelligence. And we've built out our team, we've raised some funding, we've launched our reports just over this past summer, and we're in the process of expanding our reports and our relationships that help us build those reports.
What has been the most exciting moment for you when developing Arbitrator Intelligence?
One of the things that's really neat about our team is we celebrate all the, we might say, little victories. When we have positive feedback from someone, when we have someone express support or enthusiasm, when we have an event that goes well. One of the big ones for me, because it's been such a challenge, is we've been applying to investors to give us funds, as a startup. And I will say that's probably the part that for me has been the hardest and the most, personally uncomfortable. But we've been quite successful. So we've had, and so every time we have a pitch, like Shark Tank pitch, that goes well, we kind of do a little happy dance, and we've been getting some very positive feedbacks from investors. So even the ones that tell us we're kind of too early, they like investing in a company that has a little longer track record, we're still getting very positive feedback. And that for us is really exciting, because it's one thing when you can, generate interest sort of in the abstract or within your own professional community, but with someone outside your community who knows nothing about international arbitration, says, wow, you've got a really great idea, and we think it's going to be successful. That is pretty thrilling in a way that, is quite unique for us.
Right. So when you mentioned positive feedback, was there any negative feedback, and how would you deal with that?
Yeah, your intuition is exactly right. I will say this, when I first started trying to shift from an idea to a project, I had partners at major law firms, including one in particular I remember, look me in the face and say, we hope your project fails, because this is the information we sell to our clients and we don't want the competition. I've had arbitrators also who are somehow offended by the idea that there would be this kind of feedback. I think oftentimes the concerns by arbitrators are based on a misapprehension of what kinds of information we're collecting. And also, they've also been helpful, though, because they've underscored to us the importance of being respectful of arbitrators, because they are stakeholders in the project, and they're clearly people who are affected by our project. Law firms have also come around, I think, in two really important ways. One, I think even the biggest firms today realize there's no such thing as too much information about arbitrators. And they also, I think, the changes in the market. Today we have an estimated 12,000 cases globally every year in international arbitration. And there are, by various estimates, at least 300 to 500 people who are active as arbitrators on a regular basis, and probably a couple thousand who sit every year. And the idea that information could all, information about how well they did, or who performed in what arbitration, who presided in which arbitration, could all be exchanged by phone, I think is kind of understood now as something of an obsolete idea. So even big law firms have changed. And certainly as we see newer regional law firms that don't have these massive professional networks, or years and years of experience and a big, internal database built up, they realize they really need this information.
Right, but how would you then deal with that, with the negative feedback, with people rooting for you to fail? How would you still proceed with your project and still push through?
Yeah, well, I will say, I think just as a matter of personal temperament and sense of my place in the world, I see myself as an underdog. So the more people told me, this is impossible, it'll never work, we hope you fail, the more it was inspiration. And in fact, we very intentionally channeled, what might be considered negative feedback as a challenge. And every time when we were developing the AIQ in particular, the questionnaire that we use, every time someone would criticize it, we took it as an opportunity to say, okay, if we can't satisfy the critics, if we can't answer their questions, we're going to fail. So we might as well embrace them all and work hard to answer them, because that's the way we're going to succeed. And I think today, we still get questions, but I think today it's fair to say there's no question that I don't think we have a good answer to.
My question for myArbitration: what exactly is the Arbitrator Intelligence Ambassador Program?
We have now nearly 100 ambassadors from everywhere from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe. And the ambassadors, when I'm having a bad day, I look at what they're doing and they inspire me, excite me. There's an amazing group of youngish, we have some pretty sophisticated ambassadors, but who really see information and technology as part of the future of arbitration. And so they help us in our work, and importantly, we will be having our ambassadors do the interviews of arbitrators. And the interviews in a video, we think are the main purpose is exactly what you say, is that they can help identify soft skills. They can help, soft skills being everything from, does the person have good language skills? To do when they're answering questions, do you feel like they're incisive?
So for the questionnaires, how did you decide which information to ask for in those questionnaires? What is the relevant information?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we spent a couple years actually developing the AIQ, the Arbitrator Intelligence Questionnaire. And when we first started conceiving of it, the two goals we had in mind was, one, we wanted to try through a questionnaire to largely replicate the same kinds of questions and collect information on the same kinds of issues that people currently use to collect through telephone calls. The second aspect that we tried to address is, what are the ongoing concerns that are often expressed about arbitrators? And it seems to me that all these kinds of critiques are sort of related to this idea of repeat appointments, but they can also be discussed in a constructive way.
So, Catherine, what would you advise someone who's poised to launch an initiative but who's afraid to fail?
Yeah, so first of all, I consider myself incredibly lucky to be able to spend time doing something I believe in. And if you believe in something and you commit to it, I think that's an incredible source of personal power and strength. And the fact that people criticize you or tell you can't do it should always be something you listen to reevaluate how you want to do it, and also self-check, your motivations and your determination. Are you ready to really, commit to what it takes? But at the same time, you should never let external people or external critics discourage you from a project that you believe is worthy and that you are ready to commit to. Instead, I think criticism comes from lots of different sources for lots of different reasons. And while I think it's important to listen to it, if you really believe what you're doing is important, you should never let yourself be dissuaded by it.
Catherine, thank you for your time. Thank you for participating. It was my absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you. I have had a delightful time talking with you. I wish you all the best. It's a fantastic initiative. You clearly bring a lot of heart and thoughtfulness to it. So I have no doubt it's going to be wildly successful when you launch and people are able to watch the products of all your hard work. So congratulations to you, and thank you for including me.